You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Christman. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Friday, we're here live. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you follow. Head over to our website, tampaschoolofrealestate.com, and put in your email to stay up to date on whenever it is we have new information to help you grow your real estate business. Today, we're talking about one of the most important aspects of maintaining your real estate license here in Florida, and that's going to be renewal requirements. From post-licensing to continuing education, sales associate, and broker, we're going to be covering all the renewal requirements here today. So whether your renewal is this next upcoming deadline or sometime in the future, or maybe you don't even have a license yet, you'll know exactly what your deadline is and how to verify not just what that deadline is with the state, but also verify what hours you have on file with the state. So let's head over to the board and talk about the different renewals that you have as a sales associate or as a broker. So we're going to start off with the first license that you get, your real estate license, your sales associate license. And for your first renewal, you need to do something called post-licensing. And you're going to find the post-licensing courses on tampaschoolofrealestate.com with the red borders. So you'll see all the red tab up here at the top. That's how you know you're looking at post-licensing courses for sales associates. And these are all going to be 45-hour programs, because for your sales associate license, your first real estate license, you have 45 hours of post-licensing due. Now, if we pay a little bit closer attention to that name, post-licensing, it refers to what's done after you get your license. So if you haven't done any post-licensing hours specifically after obtaining your license, you don't have any hours for this. You'll have to do this course in full. We see a lot of times agents get confused of exactly what courses they've done. So if you're in that boat, don't fret. It happens all the time, especially for your first renewal. Once you get the hang of this, it's actually really easy for all your subsequent renewals that come after this one. This one is just a little bit more serious of a requirement. And if you don't have this done by your renewal deadline, your license becomes null and void. So not something you want, because if your license goes null and void, you have to start over from the beginning. Get your real estate license all over again, do the fingerprints, do the application. You don't want to do that. You want to grandfather yourself in, and that's what the post-licensing does. Now, brokers also have a post-licensing requirement once they first get their broker license. We'll talk about that more, and we'll also cover how to verify this all with the state. So you're not just working off of the theory of renewal requirements, but what your actual renewal requirements are, what the state shows you need, and what the state shows you have on file. So we're going to talk about that verify aspect in just a few minutes here. But first, let's say that you do need to do this 45 hours of post-licensing. Now, we offer this course in 4 different formats. So whatever your learning style may be, you could complete this program. Now, a lot of people do prefer a live in-person course, and where this is going to absolutely be best, the live in-person programs, is going to be for networking, for that face-to-face, person-to-person interaction, not just with your instructor, but with all of the other students in the class. So the live programs, there's definitely something special about it. There are digital materials that you get to go along with this, but the thing is, you can't always make the time to come to a live schedule. So if you want to take the whole aspect of a live schedule, but be able to join from anywhere in the world, that's where our live online platform really shines. And we've got some phenomenal instructors teaching this 45-hour post-licensing. I would argue some of the best instructors in Florida teaching this post-licensing, including Sonny here, who we've got featured on this thumbnail. We also have Bob Kennedy, does some really great post-licensing classes. Any of our instructors, that they do this class because they really enjoy teaching more of the real-world side of real estate, rather than just the laws and rules that are so much more the focus of your pre-licensing course and your real estate exam. So this format, it follows the same textbook, the same format as our live in-person classes, but now in our state-of-the-art online platform that you can access from anywhere in the world with an internet connection, even through the TSRE app. So these are great options. They're live, and one of the other benefits I'll say about the live before we talk about the on-demand self-guided options is these have a set schedule. You show up to class, you pay attention, do what the instructor says, you have a very high likelihood that you're going to pass. The pass rate on the post-licensing programs are above 95%, regardless of whichever program it is that you do. But I will say there are several of our students that prefer and almost need a set schedule to be able to get this done, because finding the time to be able to do this on your own, even if it is a video-based instruction that's going to mirror the actual live experience, it could be difficult when that schedule is at your full control. So the flexibility that you get from these other two programs here is kind of like a double-edged sword. There is no set schedule. With these, you have 12 months of access to complete these courses. You could actually even access this one with our new month-to-month program, TSRE Plus and Real Estate Pro University. You could get this video-on-demand course and do it in the month-to-month format as well. But whatever method you do, whether you're doing the live in person, the live online, or the video on demand, all three of these right here are all instructor-led programs. The difference with the video on demand being that it's on demand. All three of these are going to use the same textbook. They're going to use the same concepts that are being taught throughout. There's going to be some variations depending on who your instructor is, of course. However, it's going to be pretty much the same content that's being covered. Now, we do have a fourth option, and this option are for those of you who prefer to self-learn, to self-guide themselves through the material. And that's what our self-guided text-based program is. Now, this isn't just reading your textbook. It is a very interactive type of program, despite it being almost 100% text-based. There are a few little videos here and there to explain some more of the complex topics, but for the most part, this is a text-based program. And the other thing about this is it's actually 3 15-hour courses. So 3 different 15-hour courses with 3 different focuses. So there's 3 different exams. So you may prefer that option as well if, again, you prefer text-based, doing it on your own, doing your own self-learning. You've got plenty of time to go through it. If you're trying to get this done as quickly as possible, maybe our video on demand option, or we have 4 or 5 day schedules for the live classes if you want to, again, have a live instructor. But whatever format that you do, number one, most importantly, making sure that you get this done, because if you do not do one of these options, whatever option you do to get that 45 hours, again, your license goes null and void. And once you're null and void, you're starting over from the beginning as if you never had a real estate license before. Now, once you do your 45 hours for your first renewal deadline, every 2 years after that, you don't have to do this again. That's why I said earlier that you're grandfathered in once you've done this. This is due for your first renewal, which is ultimately about 18 months after you get your real estate license. Maybe 2 years at the max, depending on the date that you got your license. And you could always check that at myfloridalicense.com. Simply logging in, or even publicly just looking up your license, looking it up by your name or your license number, you could see the expiration date. And again, if this is your first renewal, 45 hours is what's required for your sales associate or your initial starting real estate license. Now, after you do your post-licensing, every 2 years after that, you have what's called 14 hours of continuing education. Now, brokers, they also have their own post-licensing course, a 60-hour post-licensing for brokers. I've got a slide on that I'll show you in just a minute here. And once you do that broker post-licensing, then you're back here to the secondary renewals of continuing education. And this ultimately requires 14 hours every 2 years. So this is a much simpler requirement, and to show you exactly how simple this can be, we'll go with our most extreme of the fastest and easiest way to complete these 14 hours, which is with our correspondence option. And so the correspondence option is, in my opinion, the simplest, easiest, fastest, quickest way to get this done. So if you're in a rush, if You're not trying to extract every detail you can about whatever subjects are in here, because we do have some really great on-demand programs. That's what we've got down here at the bottom. If you want to build out your own, and there's actually a lot more than this that you'll find on our website. We have tons of continuing education courses that are all electives that you could build your own package. But if you're not just trying to study and learn, you just want to knock out your continuing education requirement, this is the option that I would recommend, because with this, you get a book. So you get a book that has all the answers and all the details and all the information that you need in it to satisfy your continuing education. However, we don't have any requirement that you do anything with that book other than pass the exam. So there's an exam right online. You could log in on the website, or if you already have the TSRE app, you can just log right into your account and do the exam right through your TSRE account. So this is very simple. It's a 30 question and it is an open book exam. 30 questions, A, B, C, and D. It's open book, and you only have to get an 80%. And you have 5 attempts. So as I said, this is super easy because this, number 1, is an open book exam. Number 2, it's only 30 questions. Number 3, it's multiple choice. Number 4, you only have to get an 80%. And number 5, you get 5 attempts to do. They're different versions of the end of course exam. There's 5 different versions, but ultimately, I don't think we've ever had anybody have to exhaust all 5 versions of this exam. Usually first try, because this is open book. I mean, can't always trust what like ChatGPT and whatnot says nowadays, so you don't always know. But that is a really great research resource for helping understand the topics in the continuing education. Now, another option that's going to meet your full 14 hours. So we've got 2 options here that are going to check the whole box of all 14 hours. This one, again, your simplest and easiest. It's just basically 1 book, 1 course, 1 exam, 30 questions, 5 attempts. You only have to get an 80%. This option over here is a bundle of our a la carte options. And this will also get the job done. There's no book with this, so if you want to be able to have everything right away. Now, ultimately, you could still do that exam without the book. If you're able to answer the questions, we're still going to send you that book. But if you do that exam right away without the aid of that book, that is going to satisfy the state's requirement for this correspondence option. Whereas all of these a la carte courses, they will require you to click through the modules and answer the questions, pass each of the exams, because this bundle is actually for courses bundled together here. So with our self-guided 14-hour bundle, you're getting the state requirements for law and ethics. So every 14 hours, 3 of those hours has to be law and 3 of those hours has to be ethics. So those 2 requirements, and then you've got 2 other courses bundled in here. So this one here on helping veterans, and this one also here on understanding technology. That's part of our 14-hour bundle if you want to just pick one option and have all the courses that you need. But most of the time, if our students are not doing this correspondence option to be able most easily knock out those 14 hours, they're usually picking some sort of a la carte bundle. Now, if you've already taken some continuing education classes with a mortgage lender, with a title company, with the Association of Realtors, with anybody who is certified to give CE hours, it's a lot lower requirement than pre and post licensing. Pre and post licensing require a very specific curriculum, whereas continuing education, you'll often find title companies, Association of Realtors. You could even go attend a FREC meeting to get some CE hours. So there's a lot of different ways to pick up CE hours, so you may only need certain hours. You may only need the ethics requirement. You may only need the law requirement. We sell those a la carte, as well as all these different elective courses. We've got a couple of them featured right on here. We've got property management, commercial real estate, short sales, assistance animals, safeguarding documents, first-time home buyers, social media, working with investors. There's a lot of really interesting courses that will give you 3, maybe even 4 hours of CE credit. So again, if you're trying to expand your knowledge, you're trying to learn while also meeting your requirement, rather than just meeting that requirement, that's where the a la carte option will be a better option for you. So every 2 years, you got to do one of these renewals. If you're in a hurry this cycle, just get this done right here. But then for your next cycle, maybe rather than just doing this 30 question open book exam, you're like, I really would like to do this social media one, but maybe when I have time to sit there and maybe take notes, because chances are these elective courses, you're not just doing it for the hours. You're doing it because you're interested in learning about social media or how to better serve first-time home buyers or working with investors or understanding the essentials of short sales. There's a lot to gain in knowledge from these CE courses. So again, those would be the ones I'd recommend when you have more time to sit down, take notes on it. But if you need the quick, fast, and easy option, that's going to be our correspondence course. And even if you have the renewal that's coming up here soon, there's still plenty of time to get really any of these options done. Because even though these are 14 hours here, none of these options are actually timed. So these ones, you do have to click through them, but it's really just as quickly as you click through them and pass the exam at the end. This one, there's not even any actual hour requirement of you going through that book or material. You just have to pass that 30 question open book exam and affirm that you've gone through that renewal material there. Now, this is 14 hours. This is what you have every 2 years for as long as you want to maintain your license. This is very inexpensive, very easy to complete. So definitely don't lose your license because of this. This, it's a little bit more understanding if you've lost your license. We do see quite a few students who either forgot to do this, didn't think they were going to want their real estate license in the future, and turns out they did. But whatever the reason may be, if you didn't do this, now you're coming back to get your license all over again. That's okay. That happens. The market cycles, so come hop back in on the cycle here. But once you've done this 45-hour requirement, you never have to do this again unless you lose your real estate license. Again, you get grandfathered in, and then it's just this as simple as 14-hour correspondence course to renew your license, unless you want to get a broker license. So let's say you've got a renewal requirement coming up. You're only a sales associate, and you've got a renewal requirement coming up. If you're eligible to get a broker license and you now get a broker license, that's going to create a whole new license with a whole new renewal cycle, and you won't have to do those 14 hours, but now you're going to have a new renewal cycle that's going to require 60 hours of broker post-licensing. So this 60 hours of broker post-licensing, you're going to see these courses in teal on our website. So teal if you're a broker and you need post-licensing, gray for continuing education if you've already done the post-licensing, and red if you're a sales associate and you haven't done your first renewal. But going back to brokers for their first renewal, it's actually 2 courses, 2 30-hour courses, which we do have the text-based, on-demand, 24/7, anytime, 12 months access to this. Again, there's 2 30-hour courses, each one having their own end-of-course exam. You click through those, you complete that. It's not a time requirement, so as fast as you can complete that is how you complete that. Now, these options over here for the live classes, these do actually have an hour requirement that you've spent so much time either in an in-person class or an online class. Now, either of these options, they both include the textbook. There's actually, again, a textbook for each 30 hours. One segment is on investment. The other is on brokerage management. And so there's actually some really interesting topics, especially in the brokerage management, as it relates to running your own brokerage. The other course, the Essentials of Investment, is going to dive a lot deeper into understanding real estate as an investment, which as a sales associate or broker is going to be extremely valuable knowledge. But especially the broker management, if you're thinking about starting your own firm, a lot of really great information in there that I would do this broker post-licensing before you go open the doors to your new office, because you will learn a lot in that brokerage management course. So again, we have scheduled live for this in online as well as in person. But if you've got a renewal coming up, you need to get this done as quickly and as easily as possible. You could log in anytime, knock out these 2 30-hour courses, and get your 60 hours worth of broker post-licensing that you need. And then every renewal after that, you're back to the 14-hour continuing education. So sales associates and brokers have the same continuing education requirement. They only have different post-licensing requirements, which is just for your first renewal. So your first renewal is going to be a little bit different if you're a sales associate or a broker, but every renewal after your first renewal is going to just be 14 hours continuing education. And if you just want to do this continued education correspondence course again and again and again every 2 years, as long as the Florida Real Estate Commission has this option approved as a method, you could do it again and again and again. If you like this method, you could keep redoing this same continuing education course again and again and again. It's okay if you do the same course as long as it's different cycles. So as long as it's different cycles, because chances are it is an updated course. So even if you're doing this correspondence option again, chances are it's going to be a very similar course, but if there's any new laws, it's going to cover those. That's what's this Florida law requirement, why every 14 hours there has to be 3 of it that's dedicated to law, because the laws do update. And there's also an ethics requirement. That is actually new, not super new because it's been around for a few renewal cycles, but there didn't used to be a specific ethics requirement. But now there is, so that's also part of those 3 hours. So again, these courses change and evolve, but if you really want to get different information, that's where you could really start to mix things up with these different elective course options that we have. So any questions about which course you need to do, whether it's just for your first renewal for the post licensing, maybe it's for your first broker renewal for broker post licensing. If you have a broker license, you have to be licensed for at least 2 years before you're eligible to become a broker. And then once you get that broker license, you have these 60 hours of broker post licensing. Or if you've already done the post licensing for your license, sales or broker, then you just have the 14 hours of continuing education that again you could do with the open book correspondence or any of the a la carte elective options. If you need help figuring out what you need exactly, you can always reach out to us 24/7, 813-333-2676. 24/7, you can call into us, but we also have some really great options online, specifically as it relates to verifying your hours. So the state's website is myfloridalicense.com. Doesn't sound the most official, especially being a .com, but that is the place to go. myfloridalicense.com. That's the Department of Business and Professional Regulation for Florida. That is their official website, and that's actually where you would log in. And not just to verify your hours, but also to pay your renewal fee. You have a renewal fee. It varies depending on the cycle, but usually like $50 or something to renew that license with the state. And you just do that every 2 years. As long as you've got your hours in, you pay your renewal fee, your license renews, you're good to go. Now, when you log in on myfloridalicense.com, there's actually a very neat place you could go to see exactly how many hours you need for this renewal period, as well as how many renewal hours you have on file. And if that is specialty post-licensing hours that you need, or law hours that you need, or ethics hours that you need, or elective CE hours that you need. So to see exactly how to get to that portion of myfloridalicense.com, we made a very quick, easy video. And it's tsre.us/verify. And this is just a very simple screen share that shows you exactly where to click, where to go to find what the state has on file for your license. Not just how many hours have been recorded for your license, but what is actually required for this renewal cycle and what, if any, deficit of hours you have. So tsre.us/verify. Watch that quick video. It'll show you exactly where to go on myfloridalicense.com to show you how to verify your hours, to make sure that the hours you have completed are showing, because sometimes there's reporting errors where it doesn't always show, and this is the best resource to be able to see that and verify that, where you could go in and know exactly for your license, not just that I did the course and it should show up, but that it does show up. Because if it doesn't, you just call us up, as long as you took your course with us, or call whoever you took the course with, whoever offered you those hours, and say, hey, my hours are not showing. And then we just need to re-report you. Because again, sometimes there are reporting errors where the systems just don't link up correctly. So the one way to make sure that you don't lose your license because of that, even though you did the hours you were supposed to do, is to make sure those hours show up at the state. The state does say it is your duty, your responsibility as a licensee, and nobody else's, to verify that your hours have been reported correctly. So we cover the reporting for you at Tampa School of Real Estate, but only you can verify. And that's why, again, we've got that video there at tsre.us/verify. It's going to show you exactly where to go on the state website. And if you have any more detailed questions about that, any of the courses, the renewal requirements, the courses to get your real estate license. Maybe not for you, but maybe you've got a friend or family member who wants to get into real estate and you want to send them our way. This phone number right here, 24/7, anytime, day or night. We'd love to help you achieve your real estate goals to whatever they may be, whatever your dream career in real estate is, whatever it is that you want to gain from it. We want to help you get there. There's thousands of students that have gone in the path before you, so follow in their footsteps. Reach out to us any way we can help you. We want to. 813-333-2676. You can also visit us online at tampaschoolofrealestate.com. That's about all the time we've got for today. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going to be back on Wednesday for Ask the Instructor, so make sure you tune into that. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.